The diner smelled like burnt protein and regret. Commander Vex Durazal of the Galactic Enforcement Fleet sat in the corner booth, his three eyes scanning the menu with the enthusiasm of someone reading their own obituary. Earth food. Wonderful. Just what his 17 stomachs needed after a 40-hour shift tracking smugglers through the Andromeda Gateway. The human establishment, called Maggie's All-Night Cafe, looked exactly like every other dive on this backwater planet. Cracked vinyl seats, flickering overhead lights, a jukebox in the corner playing something the humans called classic rock, which sounded like someone was torturing a synthesizer. The whole place had that lived-in quality that humans seemed to prize, what they called character. Vex called it health code violations waiting to happen, but the coffee was supposed to be good. That's what Officer Krill had told him. Anyway, before he'd shipped back to Proxima Station. "Commander," Krill had said, his mandibles clicking with amusement. "If you're going to be stuck on Earth for the tribunal, at least try the coffee. It's the one thing these primitives got right." Primitives. Vex wouldn't have used that word himself. Not anymore. Not after serving alongside humans for the past 3 cycles. They were reckless. Sure. Impulsive. Distressingly fond of solving diplomatic problems with explosions. But primitive. No. You didn't get from wooden boats to faster-than-light travel in 200 years by being primitive. You did it by being absolutely terrifyingly insane, which was exactly why the Galactic Council had denied Earth's application for full membership. Again, for the 3rd time, the waitress approached and Vex prepared his universal translator. Humans had 17,000 languages, because of course they did. Why have one unified communication system when you could have 17,000 ways to misunderstand each other? "Coffee, hon?" she asked. She was young, maybe 25 solar cycles, with dark hair pulled back in what humans called a ponytail and tired eyes that said she'd seen too many late-night shifts. Her name tag read Riley. She had the kind of face that was friendly by default, the kind that made you want to tell her your problems. The Vex had interviewed enough humans to know that waitresses and bartenders were the real intelligence network on this planet. They heard everything. "Yes," Vex said, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into passable English. "Black. And the pancakes. Your DataNet reviews suggest they are acceptable." Riley smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "Pancakes it is? Bacon? I am unfamiliar with bacon." "Oh, you're in for a treat. It's pig meat. Cured, smoked, sliced thin, fried crispy." Vex's translator struggled with that sentence. "Pig?" His database pulled up the image. A rotund, pink mammal that humans kept in farming facilities. "They ate these creatures." "I will try it," Vex said slowly. "When on Earth," as the saying went. Riley scribbled the order on her pad and turned to go. But Vex's tactical eye, trained through 40 years of military service, caught something. A flash of color on her wrist as her sleeve rode up. A pattern. Geometric. Without thinking, his middle eye, the one he used for targeting and detail work, focused in. A tattoo. Not unusual. Humans loved body modification. They punched holes in themselves, injected ink under their skin, attached metal rings to improbable places. It was all very barbaric and also kind of fascinating. If Vex was being honest. But this tattoo was different. It was a series of interlocking triangles, forming a hexagonal pattern with 3 dots at specific vertices. The lines were rendered in dark blue ink, almost black. Simple, elegant, and completely, utterly, impossibly familiar. Vex's primary heart skipped a beat. His secondary heart compensated, pumping faster. His tertiary heart, the small one near his left lung, just gave up entirely for a moment. That symbol. He knew that symbol. It was a navigation marker from the Velketh system. Specifically, it was the sigil of the 3rd moon colony on Velketh Prime, a place that had been destroyed 60 years ago in the faction wars. A place where Vex had lost his entire platoon. A place where he'd made a choice that haunted him every single day of his life. And this human waitress, this random human woman on this random backwater planet, had it tattooed on her wrist. "Wait," Vex said, his translator almost glitching on the word. "That mark on your arm." Riley glanced down, touching the tattoo reflexively. "This? Yeah, It's kind of random, I know. Got it when I was 18. Dumb rebellious phase. She laughed, but there was something else in her voice. Something careful. Where did you see this pattern? Vex asked. Is training kicked in? Keep the voice level. Don't show the panic. Don't reveal that your entire world just tilted sideways. A book, Riley said. She was studying him now, her casual waitress demeanor slipping. Why? You recognize it? A book. Vex's translator made the word sound flat. Skeptical. Well, technically a journal. My mom's. She was an anthropologist. Studied ancient symbols and stuff. Riley's grip on her notepad tightened. Look, mister, I've got 4 other tables. Is there a problem with the tattoo? Because I can ask Maggie to have someone else serve you if it's against your religion or whatever. No problem. Vex forced his voice prints to stay calm. My apologies. I am simply surprised to see it here, on Earth. Riley's eyes narrowed slightly. She was smart, this one, reading between the lines. You're Velketh, aren't you? Your uniform. The insignia. I've seen pictures. Now it was Vex's turn to be surprised. Most humans couldn't tell the difference between a Velketh and a Sand or an Orion. They just lumped all aliens into one category and called it a day. You are well informed, Vex said carefully. I read a lot. Riley shifted her weight, and Vex noticed she'd positioned herself with clear access to the exit. Not aggressive, just cautious. Interesting. My mom's research. She specialized in off-world contact events. Pre-official contact stuff. You know, back when Earth was still pretending you guys didn't exist. The pre-contact era. That messy 50-year period when Earth knew about aliens, but the Galactic Council hadn't formally acknowledged Earth yet. When ships crashed in deserts and governments scrambled to hide the evidence. When individual aliens sometimes got stranded on Earth and had to improvise. Your mother, Vex said slowly. She is a researcher of these events? Was Riley's expression closed off. She died 3 years ago. Core accident. Normal. Boring. Human tragedy. Nothing alien about it. I am sorry for your loss. Thanks. Riley glanced toward the kitchen where an order-up bell was dinging insistently. Look, I really need to get back to work. I'll bring your coffee in a minute. Riley. Vex didn't know why he said her name. Didn't know why he couldn't let this drop. But that symbol, that cursed impossible symbol. That journal, the one with the symbol. Do you still have it? Riley's face went completely neutral. It was the look of someone who'd been asked that question before. By people who weren't friendly. Why would you want to know that? Because, Vex said, and for the first time in 40 years, he let his voice carry the full weight of his grief, his regret, his desperate need to know. I think I knew the person who showed that symbol to your mother, and if I am correct, then everything I believed about what happened 60 years ago is a lie. The diner suddenly felt very quiet. The jukebox had stopped. The other patrons, a truck driver and an elderly couple, weren't paying attention. But Riley was frozen, her face a mask of conflicting emotions. Who are you? She whispered. My name is Vexteral, Commander Vexteral. I served in the faction wars. I was at the Third Moon colony when it fell. Vex's 3 eyes met her too. I had a squad mate. His name was Lieutenant Kale. He was Velketh, like me, but he had human ancestry. A hybrid, rare but not unheard of in the border colonies. His mother was human. She escaped before the moon fell. At least, that is what I believe. Kale, Riley repeated. The notepad slipped from her fingers, clattering on the floor. Neither of them moved to pick it up. Kale was my half-brother's name. The diner's fluorescent lights hummed. Somewhere in the kitchen, something beeped. A car passed outside, its headlights briefly illuminating the booth. Vexteral, decorated commander, veteran of 3 wars, survivor of the Third Moon massacre, sat in a human diner and felt the universe reorganize itself around him. Your half-brother, he said quietly. Is he alive? No. Riley's voice was steady, but her hands were shaking. He died 20 years ago. I never met him. My mom only told me about him right before she died. Said he was from her first marriage. To someone not from Earth. Someone who came here and left again. Someone she loved and lost. Kale told me his mother escaped, Vex said. His minds were racing, all three of his brain lobes working overtime. He said she got on an evacuation ship. He showed me a photo once. A human woman with dark hair and kind eyes. He said her name was ancestors. What was her name? Margaret, Riley said softly. But everyone called her Maggie. They both looked up at the same moment. At the neon sign above the counter. Maggie's all-night cafe. Oh, you have got to be kidding me. Riley breathed. Your mother owned this establishment? She left it to me. I thought the name was just, I don't know, a quirk. A reference to some old friend or something. She never told me it was her own name. She went by Margaret professionally, always. Riley sank into the booth across from Vex, customer server protocols completely abandoned. Commander, what the hell is going on? I do not know, Vex admitted. But I intend to find out. He was my friend. The closest thing I had to family after the war. He saved my life 17 times. I only managed to save his 12 times. We kept count. It was a competition. Typical military guys, Riley muttered, but there was warmth in it. He died covering my retreat. Vex continued. His voice was steady, but his hands weren't. When the colony fell, the faction forces overwhelmed us. We were outnumbered 50-1. Command ordered a full evacuation. Kale stayed behind to hold the line. He made me promise to find his mother if I survived. Made me promise to tell her he loved her, that he understood why she had to leave. Did you? Riley asked. Did you find her? I tried. For 5 years I searched. Every human colony, every Earth database I could access. But Maggie is a common human name, and I had no family name to go with it, no location data. And then the Council sealed the war records. Classified everything. Said it was for galactic security. I was promoted, reassigned. Life moved on. Vex's 3 eyes all focused on Riley. Until tonight I thought that part of my life was closed, that I had failed my friend's last request. Riley pulled up her sleeve completely, exposing the full tattoo. In the harsh diner lighting, Vex could see details he'd missed before. Around the main symbol were tiny marks, coordinates, he realized. Star positions, and a date, in both human and galactic standard notation. The date of the third moon colony's fall. My mom's journal had dozens of these symbols, Riley said. She was documenting everything Kale told her about Velkath culture before he left. She was pregnant with me when he went back to fight in the war. She begged him not to go, but he said he had to. Said his people needed him. Said he'd come back after the war and they'd be a proper family. But he never came back. No. And she never told anyone about him. Not her friends. Not her colleagues. Not even me until she was dying. She said it was too dangerous. That there were people who'd been looking for Kale, people who wanted information about the third moon colony. She destroyed most of his things, kept only the journal. Gave me this tattoo design before I was old enough to understand what it meant. People looking for him. Vex leaned forward. What people? She wouldn't say. Just said that Kale had known something. Something about why the colony really fell. And that someone wanted to make sure that information died with him. A chill ran down Vex's dorsal ridge. The official story of the third moon colony was that faction forces had attacked because of the colony's strategic position. A normal military target in a brutal war. But there had always been rumors, whispers that the colony had been hiding something, that the attack wasn't random. Vex had dismissed those rumors as conspiracy theories. Grief-stricken survivors looking for meaning in tragedy. But what if they weren't theories? What if Kale had died protecting more than just his squad mates? Riley, Vex said slowly. That journal. I need to see it. She studied him for a long moment. Measuring. Deciding. Outside, a police siren wailed past. Inside, the old jukebox kicked back to life, playing something slow and sad. My shift ends in 20 minutes, Riley finally said. The journal's at my apartment. It's not far. But Commander, if I show you this, if we open this door, we might not like what we find on the other side. I stopped liking what I found a long time ago, Vex said. That is why I keep looking. Riley nodded, stood up, grabbed her notepad from the floor. Pancakes and bacon coming right up. On the house. If we're going to shake loose secrets that got my brother killed, we're doing it on a full stomach. She walked away back to the kitchen, leaving Vex alone with his thoughts and his memories and the sudden terrifying certainty that the next few hours were going to change everything. He looked down at his hands. 4 fingers on each hand, with the double thumb arrangement that marked him as Velcath military caste. These hands had held weapons, signed death warrants, saluted fallen comrades. Now they trembled slightly as he reached for the water glass Riley had left earlier. Cale, his friend. His brother in arms. The hybrid soldier who'd always been too human for the Velcath and too alien for Earth. The one who'd made terrible jokes during firefights and cried when he read letters from home. The one who'd showed Vex what it meant to have hope when everything was burning down. And now, 60 years later, in a diner on Earth, Vex had found a piece of that hope. Cale's half-sister. His family. The connection Vex thought was lost forever. The universe, Vex reflected, had a twisted sense of humor. The pancakes arrived 15 minutes later. They were, Vex had to admit, acceptable. The bacon was a revelation. Crispy, salty, smoky. He understood why humans were so attached to these particular pigs. Riley moved through the rest of her shift with professional efficiency, but Vex caught her glancing at him every few minutes, checking if he was real, if this conversation had actually happened. He knew the feeling. His own minds kept replaying the moment. The tattoo, the impossible connection, the sudden weight of unfinished business settling on his shoulders. When Riley finally hung up her apron and grabbed her jacket, the diner was nearly empty. Maggie, the night manager, a rotund human woman with gray hair and suspicious eyes, watched them leave together. "You okay, Riley?" Maggie called. "Yeah, Mags. Just walking a customer to his car. Back in 5. It was a lie and Maggie clearly knew it, but she nodded anyway. Earth Customs. "Don't ask questions you don't want," answered. Outside, the night air was cool and damp. Earth's single moon hung overhead, pale and scarred. Vex always found it odd that humans romanticized their moon so much. His people had 3 moons, each one a different color, but humans wrote poems about their single gray rock. Another cultural mystery. Riley's apartment was, as promised, not far. A 10-minute walk through quiet streets lined with old trees and older buildings. Human architecture on Earth was fascinatingly varied. Unlike Velcath structures, which were all standardized military efficiency, human buildings seemed designed by committee, each one different, each one reflecting the individual owner's taste. "Fair warning," Riley said as they climbed the stairs to her 3rd-floor unit. "It's a mess, and I have a cat. Are you allergic to cats? Do Velcath even get allergies?" "I do not believe so," Vex said. "Though I have never encountered a cat." "Lucky you. Mittens is a demon in fur form." The apartment was small but comfortable. Books everywhere, stacked on shelves, piled on tables, used as impromptu furniture. Riley clearly shared her mother's love of reading. A gray cat, presumably Mittens, watched them from atop the refrigerator with yellow eyes that seemed to judge Vex and find him wanting. "Make yourself comfortable," Riley said, gesturing to a couch that had seen better days. "I'll get the journal. It's in my bedroom safe." She disappeared into another room and Vex was left alone with the cat and his thoughts. On the wall above the couch was a photo. A human woman, older, with Riley's eyes and smile. Standing next to her was a younger Riley, maybe 15, both of them laughing at something off camera. A normal human family photo. Except now Vex knew it wasn't normal at all. This woman, this Margaret called Maggie, had loved a Velcath soldier, had carried his child, had kept his secrets until her death. What must that have been like? To love someone from another world, to lose them to a war light years away, to spend the rest of your life protecting a truth you could never fully share. Riley returned, carrying a leather-bound book worn and cracked with age. She handed it to Vex carefully, reverently. "This is it," she said. "Mom's journal. Everything Cale told her. Everything she learned." Vex opened the book with all 4 hands, treating it like the sacred artifact it was. The pages were filled with handwritten notes in multiple languages. Human English, Velcath script, mathematical equations, star charts, and drawings. Dozens of drawings of the third moon colony. The buildings, the people, and one drawing, larger than the others, more detailed. A facility, underground, with massive power conduits and security systems and a label in Velketh script that made Vex's heart stop completely. Project Threshold, he whispered. You know what that is? Riley asked. I know the rumors, Vex said. His voice sounded distant, even to himself. During the faction wars, there were stories about a secret research facility on the third moon. A place where Velketh scientists were developing something revolutionary. Something that could end the war instantly, but it was just propaganda. Morale-boosting nonsense to keep the troops fighting. What if it wasn't nonsense? Riley sat down next to him looking at the journal. What if it was real? And what if that's why the faction really attacked? Not for strategic position, for whatever was in that facility. Vex turned the pages, his mind's absorbing information faster than any human could process. Equations, technical specifications, security protocols. And then near the end of the journal, a note in Margaret's handwriting. Kale said they kept it in the lowest level. Said only 5 people knew the full truth. Said, if anyone ever found out, it would change everything. He made me promise never to tell. But how can I keep this secret? How can I know what I know and say nothing? Below that, another note, dated years later. They came today, asked questions about Kale.
About what he told me.
I played dumb. Said he never talked about his work. They didn't believe me, but they left. I'm being followed now, I can feel it. Riley is asking about her father. I don't know what to tell her. The truth would put her in danger. The lies are eating me alive. And a final note, dated 3 months before Margaret's death. I'm out of time, the cancer is spreading faster than the doctors predicted. I need to tell Riley something. But what? The full truth could get her killed. Maybe I just tell her about Khaled, about the love we shared. Let her have that. Let her know she comes from something beautiful, even if it ended in tragedy. The rest can stay buried. Some secrets should stay dead, except secrets, Vex thought, have a way of resurrecting themselves at the worst possible moment. Your mother's car accident, Vex said quietly. Are you certain it was an accident? Riley's face went pale. Are you suggesting? I am suggesting that someone wanted this information to stay buried. And when your mother died, they assumed the secret died with her. But now we are asking questions. Looking at this journal, connecting pieces that someone worked very hard to separate. Then, we're in danger. Possibly. Riley stood up, paced to the window, looked out at the quiet street below. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. I'm a waitress. I serve pancakes and coffee. I'm not a spy or a soldier or whatever this situation needs. Neither was your mother, Vex pointed out. She was an anthropologist. But she kept this secret for 40 years. She protected it, protected you. Now it is our turn. To do what? Exactly. To finish what Kale started. Vex closed the journal carefully. To find out what Project Threshold really was, to learn why the third moon colony truly fell, and to make sure that whatever your brother died protecting doesn't fall into the wrong hands. You make it sound simple. It will not be simple, Vex admitted. It will be dangerous, perhaps fatal. But Riley, I made a promise to your brother. I promised to find his mother, to tell her he loved her. I failed that promise. I will not fail again. If there is a truth here worth knowing, we will know it. And if there are people who want this secret buried, well, Vex's 3 eyes all glinted in the dim apartment light. They have never met a determined Velketh commander before. Riley turned from the window, and Vex saw something shift in her expression. Fear, yes. Uncertainty, absolutely. But also determination. The same determination he'd seen in Kale's face 60 years ago. The hybrid soldier deciding to go back to war. The human Velketh choosing duty over safety. It was genetic, apparently. Okay, Riley said. Okay, but we do this smart. We don't go charging in like some action movie. We research, we plan, we stay alive. Deal. Deal. They shook hands. Human style. Her small hand in his 4-fingered grip. A pact between species. Between past and present. between a sister who never knew her brother and the commander who never forgot his friend. Outside, somewhere in the city, a clock tower chimed midnight. The hour when one day became another. When past became present became future. Vexterol, veteran of the faction wars, looked at the journal in his hands and felt the weight of history pressing down. Somewhere, someone had worked very hard to bury this truth. Somewhere, something called Project Threshold waited in the dark. Its secrets undisturbed for 60 years. Not anymore. The game, as humans like to say, was afoot, and Vex was very, very good at games. The next morning, Vex returned to Riley's apartment with 3 datapads, a scanning device, and enough caution to make a paranoid spy jealous. He'd spent the night reviewing everything he could access about the third moon colony through official channels, which turned out to be exactly nothing. Every file was sealed. Every record was classified. Even his own service history from that period had been redacted into meaninglessness. Someone had scrubbed the third moon colony from galactic records like it never existed, which meant they were definitely onto something. Riley answered the door wearing yesterday's clothes and holding a mug of coffee that smelled strong enough to strip paint. Her eyes had the hollow look of someone who hadn't slept. Mittens the demon cat wound around her ankles, purring. "Please tell me you found something," she said, stepping aside to let him in. "I found nothing," Vex replied. "Which tells me everything. That's the most cryptic thing anyone said to me before 9 in the morning. And I once dated a philosophy major." Riley shut the door, locked it, then added a chain lock for good measure. Vex set his equipment on the coffee table, careful not to disturb the half-dozen books Riley had apparently been reading simultaneously through the night. Titles like Pre-Contact Incidents, A Hidden History, and The Faction Wars, Unanswered Questions, and Corporate Espionage in the Galactic Age. "You have been researching," he observed. "I stress read. Sue me." Riley collapsed onto the couch. "I went through Mom's entire library last night. Found some interesting connections. Want to know what corporations had research contracts with Velketh military during the war?" 17 different entities, Vex said. "All defense contractors. Standard procedure." "Wrong. 18. You missed one." Riley pulled out a printout from between 2 books. Helix Solutions, a human-based biotech firm that officially didn't exist until 5 years after the war ended. But Mom found paperwork showing they were operating research facilities on 3 different colonies during the conflict, including the third moon. Vex took the printout, his middle eyes scanning the details. Helix Solutions. The name meant nothing to him, but the corporate structure was fascinating. Shell companies within shell companies. Funding sources that traced back to both human and alien investors. A deliberately obscured ownership pattern. "This company specializes in what exactly?" Vex asked. "Genetic research. Specifically, cross-species compatibility studies. They're the ones who pioneered the hybrid viability treatments. The reason people like Kale can exist at all." Vex's 3 hearts did that stuttering thing again. Genetic research. Hybrid compatibility. On the third moon colony, where Kale, a human Velketha hybrid, had served, where Project Threshold had supposedly existed. "You think Helix Solutions was running Project Threshold?" Vex said slowly. "I think they were the only ones who could have," Riley replied. "Look at the timeline. Hybrid births were incredibly rare before the war. Maybe 1 in a million. The genetic incompatibility between species was almost absolute. Then suddenly, during the war, the success rate jumps to 1 in 10,000. Someone figured something out, something big, and the third moon colony was where they did it. Bingo." Vex sat down heavily, his weight making the old couch protest. His minds were racing through implications. If Project Threshold had been about hybrid research, that changed everything. The faction forces wouldn't have attacked to capture territory. They'd have attacked to capture the research, or destroy it. Or both. "Kale knew," Vex said quietly. "He must have known what they were working on. He was security for the facility. He saw things, heard things. And when the colony fell, he made sure the research was destroyed rather than captured." "But not all of it," Riley said. She reached under the couch and pulled out a small metal box. "Mom hid this inside a false bottom in her desk. I found it around 3 this morning. Nearly gave myself a heart attack." She opened the box. Inside was a data chip, old-style, Velketh military encryption, and a note in Margaret's handwriting. If you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you everything, Riley. I'm sorry for the secrets, but your brother gave me this before he left, made me promise to keep it safe. Said if anything happened to him, someone trustworthy would come asking questions. He said I'd know them when I met them. I think he meant this Vex person he talked about, his commander, his friend. If Vex finds you, give him this. And Riley, baby, I'm so sorry for everything this will cost you. But some truths are worth the price. Love, Mom. Riley's hand shook slightly as she held out the data chip. Vex took it carefully, reverently. This was Kale's legacy, his final message. The secret he died protecting. We need a secure terminal to read this, Vex said. My ship has encryption-breaking software, but it is docked at the military port, and accessing it will flag my location to Fleet Command. Will they stop you? That depends on who they are. Rex stood up, pocketing the chip carefully. If Fleet Command is clean, they will simply log my access and move on. If someone at Command is compromised, if someone has been watching for exactly this kind of activity, then we will have visitors, probably armed. Great. Just great. Riley grabbed her jacket. Let's go get shot at by space assassins. It'll be a fun Saturday. I appreciate your humor in the face of danger. Very human. I appreciate that you're not sugarcoating how screwed we probably are. Very alien. They took Riley's car, an ancient vehicle that ran on combustion engines and made alarming rattling sounds. Vex had flown starships through asteroid fields and didn't feel as endangered as he did in this wheeled death trap. Humans and their vehicles. Another mystery. The military port was on the outskirts of the city, behind 3 layers of security fencing and enough weapon systems to repel a small invasion. Vex's command codes got them through the gates without issue, but he noticed the guards were more attentive than usual, watching, reporting somewhere. We are being observed, Vex murmured as they walked across the landing field toward his ship. I noticed, Riley said. Guy in the tower. Camera on the eastern fence. And unless I'm paranoid, that maintenance worker has been polishing the same panel for 5 minutes while watching us. You would have made a good soldier. I'll add it to my resume. Right under makes excellent pancakes. And probably about to die horribly. Vex's ship was a mid-sized courier vessel, designed for speed and stealth rather than firepower. He'd named it Perseverance, which was either hopeful or ironic depending on the day. The boarding ramp lowered at his command, and they hurried in. The ship's interior was sparse, military efficiency at its finest. No decorations, no personal touches, nothing that couldn't be jettisoned in an emergency. Riley looked around with obvious disappointment. Not what you expected? Vex asked. I was hoping for, I don't know, alien weirdness, glowing crystals, holographic displays, maybe a robot butler. This is a military vessel, not a pleasure cruise. Boring. Vex's terminal was in the main cabin. A multi-screen setup that would have made human hackers weep with envy. He inserted the data chip and started the decryption process. Kale had used military-grade encryption, the kind that would take standard computers about 40 years to crack. Vex's system could do it in 20 minutes. They waited. Riley paced. Mittens, who she'd insisted on bringing, explored the ship with the confidence of a tiny furry emperor surveying new territory. Vex monitored both the decryption progress and the port's security feeds. We have a problem, Vex announced after 10 minutes. Of course we do. 3 vehicles just entered the port. Unmarked. Moving with purpose toward this landing pad. Estimated arrival in 4 minutes. Riley stopped pacing. Friends of yours? I do not have friends who travel in unmarked vehicles. Then we need to leave. Now, the decryption is not complete. If we disconnect the chip now, the data could corrupt. If we stay here, we could get very dead. I'm voting for option 1. The terminal beeped. 15 minutes remaining. The vehicles were now 3 minutes out. Math, even simple human math, indicated this was not going to end well. We are not leaving without this data, Vex said firmly. Seal the ship. I will engage defensive protocols. Riley hit the button to raise the boarding ramp. Vex activated the ship's shields. a low-grade energy barrier designed to deflect small arms fire. It would buy them time. Not much, but some. The vehicles arrived. 6 figures emerged, all wearing tactical gear and carrying weapons that looked distressingly advanced. Not standard galactic enforcement gear. Private military contractors. The expensive kind. One of them approached the ship, their helmets' external speakers crackling to life. Commander Vextral. We represent interested parties who would prefer certain historical matters remain historical. Power down your vessel and surrender the data chip. This doesn't need to be complicated. I find that people who say things don't need to be complicated are usually about to make them very complicated. Vex replied through the ship's external comms. Sir, we have authorization to use force if necessary. Authorization from whom? That's classified. How convenient. 12 minutes remaining on the decryption. The tactical team was setting up what looked like a portable shield disruptor. Professional, efficient. Absolutely not backing down. Vex, Riley said quietly. I'm scared. That is appropriate. I am also scared. Really? You seem calm. I have had extensive practice being scared while appearing calm. It is a valuable military skill. The shield disruptor activated. Vex's ship sensors screamed warnings. Their defensive barrier would hold for maybe 3 minutes under this assault. Then the boarding ramp would be vulnerable. Then things would get messy. We could give them the chip, Riley suggested. Copy the data first. Let them think they won. They will kill us anyway, Vex said. Standard protocol for this type of operation. No witnesses. You military types are real optimists. You know that? The terminal beeped again. 10 minutes. The shields were failing. The tactical team was advancing, and Vex was out of brilliant plans, which was when Riley grabbed his arm and pointed at the screen. The thanks. Look. The decryption. It's accelerating. She was right. The progress bar was moving faster. 7 minutes. 5. 3. The ship must have allocated additional processing power automatically, prioritizing the task over non-essential systems. Come on, Riley whispered. Come on, come on, come on. 1 minute remaining. The shields collapsed entirely. The tactical team rushed the boarding ramp. Vex drew his sidearm, a plasma pistol that could punch through body armor at close range. Riley grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall. Not much of a weapon, but points for trying. 30 seconds. The ramp's lock was being overridden. They had maybe 10 seconds before hostile forces entered the ship. The terminal chimed. Decryption complete. Vex grabbed the chip, shoved it in his jacket, and hit the emergency launch sequence. The ship's engines roared to life. The ramp half open threw off 2 of the tactical team members. The others scrambled back, as the Perseverance lifted off the pad with all the grace of a drunk elephant. We just stole a military vessel from a military port, Riley shouted over the engine noise. That's bad, right? That's extremely bad? Technically, I am borrowing my own ship, Vex said, fighting the controls as the ship gained altitude. But yes, this will require extensive paperwork later. Below them, the tactical team was regrouping. Above them, the port's automated defense systems were waking up, tracking their unauthorized departure. In about 10 seconds, those systems would start shooting. Vex pulled up sharply, angling toward the planet's upper atmosphere. The ship's engines strained. Warning lights flashed across every console. Riley held onto her seat with white knuckles. Mittens yowled from somewhere in the back. Presumably unhappy about the sudden career change from apartment cat to space cat. A projectile streaked past the viewport. Then another. The defense systems had decided they were hostile. Wonderful. I thought you said this was a stealth ship, Riley yelled. It is? When not fleeing dramatically from heavily armed facilities, how is this my life? Yesterday I was serving coffee. Today I'm in a spaceship being shot at. Character building. They broke through the atmosphere. The ship shuddering as it transitioned from air flight to space flight. Behind them, 3 pursuit craft were launching from the port. Ahead of them, the vast emptiness of space and approximately 7 billion places to hide. Vex plotted a course, his 4 hands dancing across the navigation controls. They needed somewhere safe. Somewhere off the standard routes. Somewhere no one would think to look for a rogue commander and a human waitress. Where are we going? Riley asked. Outpost Zeta-9, an independent trading station in neutral space. No galactic enforcement jurisdiction. No corporate oversight. Criminals, smugglers, and people asking too many questions are their primary clientele. So perfect for us. Exactly. The pursuit craft were gaining. Vex's ship was fast, but not faster than dedicated interceptors. They needed an edge. He scanned the space around them, looking for anything useful. Asteroid fields, debris clouds, satellite networks. There. An old satellite array, defunct for 20 years but still massive enough to provide cover. Vex angled toward it, pushing the engines to maximum. Strap in, he advised. I am strapped in. Strap in more. They hit the satellite field at speeds that would make traffic controllers faint. Vex wove between the massive defunct structures, using them as cover, breaking sensor locks, forcing the pursuit craft to either slow down or risk collision. One of them clipped a satellite and spun off, engines failing. The other two were more cautious, falling behind. 3 minutes of high-speed maneuvering later, they were clear of the field. The pursuit craft were still following, but at a distance. Vex activated the faster-than-light drive, coordinates locked for Outpost Zeta-9, engaging hyperspace in 3, 2, 1. Reality did that weird folding thing that faster-than-light travel required. The stars stretched. The universe bent. Riley made a sound that was half wonder, half nausea, and then they were away, leaving Earth and its problems light-years behind. For now, in the relative calm of hyperspace, with hours before they reached the outpost, Vex finally accessed the decrypted data from Kale's chip. Riley leaned over his shoulder, reading along. The file opened. Text appeared, and with each line, each paragraph, each revealed secret, Vex felt his understanding of the entire faction wars shift sideways. Project Threshold hadn't been about creating viable hybrids. That was just the cover story. The real project had been something far more ambitious, far more dangerous. They'd been trying to bridge not just genetic compatibility between species, but consciousness itself. A neural network that could link human and alien minds directly. Shared thoughts, shared memories, shared understanding. The ultimate communication tool, or the ultimate weapon depending on who controlled it. The research had been successful, frighteningly successful. They'd created a prototype, a device that could link minds across species barriers, and then they'd discovered the problem. It was addictive. Not physically, but psychologically. Once linked, minds didn't want to separate. People lost their sense of individual identity. They became something new, something neither human nor alien, but merged, and it couldn't go back. The faction forces had found out about the research. They'd attacked the colony not to capture the technology, but to destroy it, because their intelligence suggested it could be weaponized, used to forcibly merge enemy soldiers into a hive mind, stripping away free will, creating living drones. Kale's final report was dated the day the colony fell. We're destroying everything, every piece of research, every prototype, every data backup. This technology can't exist. The temptation is too great. Someone would use it. Someone would justify it. Someone would decide that forced unity is better than messy freedom. But I'm keeping one record, one copy of the research. Not because it should be used, but because it should be remembered, so that if someone tries to recreate this nightmare, there's proof of where it leads. I'm trusting this to my mother. I'm trusting her to know what to do with it. Commander Vex, if you're reading this, it means I didn't make it. It means Mom found you like I hoped she would. Don't try to complete the project. Don't try to fix what we learned. Just make sure people know why we destroyed it. Make sure this mistake doesn't repeat. That's my last order, Commander. Follow it. Please. The file ended. Silence filled the ship, broken only by the low hum of the faster-than-light engines and Mittens purring somewhere in the cargo hold. He died to keep this buried, Riley said quietly. And my mom spent 40 years protecting his choice, and now we have it. Vex added. The complete research. The thing that corporations would pay billions for, that governments would kill to possess, that could change the entire balance of power in the galaxy. What do we do with it? Vex looked at his friend's final words on the screen. His final order. The last request of a soldier who'd saved his life 17 times. We honor his wishes, Vex said. We make sure this technology stays dead. How? By making it public. By releasing every detail to every news outlet, every government, every corporation, every being in the galaxy. Remove the secrecy. Remove the advantage. If everyone knows about it, if everyone knows the dangers, then no one can use it as a weapon. It becomes a cautionary tale instead of a prize to fight over. Riley was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled. It was Kale's smile. The same determined, slightly crazy grin that Vex remembered from 60 years ago. Mom would have liked that plan, Riley said. Kale too, probably. It will make us targets, Vex warned. The people who've been hiding this will not be pleased. We will spend the rest of our lives looking over our shoulders. Yeah, but at least we'll be alive to look, and we'll have done the right thing. That counts for something. It does. They reached Outpost Zeta 9 6 hours later. The station was exactly as disreputable as advertised. A sprawling mess of interconnected modules where criminals traded stolen goods, smugglers refueled their ships, and questions were answered with violence. Perfect. Vex docked the ship in a dark corner of the station and paid the dockmaster triple the standard rate to not remember they were there. Riley changed into less conspicuous clothing. Something that screamed definitely not running from armed mercenaries. Mittens stayed on the ship, probably plotting revenge for the indignity of space travel. They found a data broker in the station's lower levels, a 6-armed Cephalon, who called himself Whisper and dealt in information the way others dealt in drugs. His shop smelled like ozone and secrets. I need to broadcast something, Vex said without preamble. Galaxy-wide. Every major network. Simultaneously. Untraceable. Whisper's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. That kind of service is expensive, Commander. I am aware. Name your price. How about you tell me what you're broadcasting? I like to know what kind of attention I'm bringing to my doorstep. The kind that will make us both famous and possibly dead. My favorite kind. Whisper's tentacles danced across his control board. Show me. Vex uploaded Kale's research file. All of it. The technical specifications. The test results. The warnings. The reasons for destruction. Everything. Whisper read through it, his eyes widening with each page. You insane, beautiful fool, Whisper breathed. This is Project Threshold. The ghost story every intelligence agency whispers about. The holy grail of consciousness research. And you want to just give it away? Yes, they will hunt you forever. You know that, right? Every corporation, every Black Ops team, every government with an agenda. They'll want revenge for losing this prize. I am counting on it, Vex said. Because the moment they start hunting us publicly, they confirm the data is real. They validate everything we're releasing, and that makes our point even stronger. Whisper laughed. A sound like water gurgling through pipes. Humans and their allies. Always so dramatic. Fine, I'll do it. Not for the money, for the chaos. This kind of chaos, it's beautiful. He worked for an hour, setting up relay networks, ghost servers, untraceable broadcast points. When he was done, his tentacles hovered over the final button. Last chance to back out, Whisper said. Once this goes live, there's no taking it back. Vex looked at Riley. She nodded. No hesitation. No doubt. Her brother's courage living on through her. Send it. Vex ordered. Whisper pressed the button. Across the galaxy on 1,000 worlds, through 1,000,000 networks. The truth about Project Threshold began to spread. The research. The warnings. The story of a colony that died to keep this secret. The plea from a long-dead soldier that his sacrifice means something. Within minutes, every major news outlet was running the story. Within an hour, governments were issuing statements. Within a day, the whole galaxy knew what had been hidden for 60 years. And somewhere, in corporate headquarters and government bunkers and secret facilities, people were very, very angry. Back on the Perseverance, Vex and Riley watched the news feeds. The story was spreading faster than they dared hope. Some outlets called it the scandal of the century. Others called it a hoax. But everyone was talking about it. Everyone knew. Kale's final wish was fulfilled. What now? Riley asked. Now we run, Vex said. And we keep running. And when we get tired of running, we run some more. Sounds exhausting. It will be. Worth it though. Absolutely. Riley pulled out her phone, somehow still getting signal even this far from Earth. She took a selfie, her Vex in the starfield visible through the viewport. She grinned at the camera. Vex attempted what he hoped was a smile but probably looked more like a grimace. For Mom, Riley said, captioning the photo, and for Kale, we finished what you started. She posted it to her social media. Because of course she did. Humans and their need to document everything. That photo just told every hunter in the galaxy exactly where we are, Vex pointed out. Yeah, but it also told them we're not scared, that we're not hiding, that we did the right thing and we're proud of it. Riley pocketed her phone. Besides, they were going to find us anyway. Might as well look good doing it. Vex had to admit, there was a certain human logic to that. They left Outpost Zeta-9 3 hours later, before Whisper's predictions about unwanted attention came true. The Perseverance jumped to hyperspace, destination unknown even to themselves. They'd pick a random direction and go, keep moving. Stay alive. Tell anyone who'd listen about Project Threshold and why it needed to stay buried. Somewhere behind them, Margaret's cafe continued serving pancakes to early morning customers. Maggie, the night manager, found Riley's goodbye note and cried. Middens became the ship's cat, ruling the cargo hold with an iron paw. And across the galaxy, the story of a human waitress and an alien commander who'd done something impossibly brave spread from world to world. Months later, Vex received a message through an encrypted channel. No sender information. Just a video file. He opened it carefully. The screen showed a memorial on Earth. At a military cemetery, a new headstone had been added, placed between two trees where the morning light would hit it first. Lieutenant Kale, Velketh Defense Forces, hero of the Third Moon, died protecting the future. Never forgotten. And surrounding the memorial, dozens of people, some human, some alien, all there to honor a soldier who'd made an impossible choice 60 years ago. Riley stood at the front, reading from her mother's journal, telling Kale's story, making sure he was remembered not just as a casualty of war, but as someone who'd saved the galaxy from itself. Vex watched the video 3 times, then a 4th, as 3 eyes were leaking fluid, which humans would call crying but Velketh would call optical lubrication response to emotional stimuli. Much more dignified. I kept my promise, old friend, Vex said to the screen. Took me 60 years, but I found your family. I told them you loved them, and I made sure your sacrifice mattered. We're even now. 17 saves for you, 17 for me. Riley appeared in the ship's doorway, carrying 2 mugs of terrible ship coffee. You okay? She asked. I am excellent, Vex replied. For the first time in 60 years, I am excellent. They sat together in the cockpit, drinking bad coffee and watching the stars streak past. 2 beings from different worlds brought together by tragedy and secrets, and the stubborn human insistence that some truths were worth dying for. Behind them, the galaxy spun on. Corporations plotted. Governments schemed. Hunters searched. But Project Threshold remained exposed. Public. Understood. No longer a prize but a warning. And sometimes on quiet nights, when the ship was running on minimal power and the universe seemed vast and empty, Riley would trace her tattoo. The symbol of the Third Moon colony. The mark that had started everything. Think we made a difference? She'd ask. I think we honored those who came before us, Vex would reply. I think we turned a secret into a story. And stories, Riley, are how humans and aliens alike remember what matters. We gave Kale a story worth telling. That is no small thing. No, Riley would agree. It's not. And the Perseverance would fly on, carrying 2 souls who'd learned that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is tell the truth, even when the truth is dangerous, even when it costs everything, even when the easy choice would be silence, because silence is how secrets survive, and some secrets deserve to die.